This podcast is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. Welcome back to our podcast. This is the part 2 of the topic on Web3.
So in terms of comparison wise, Web 2 and Web 3, I think the first part of the comparison should be on the focus of both of them. So Web 2 focuses on enabling users to interact with content on the internet. On the other hand, Web 3 fosters immersion in the content on the internet by becoming an active contributor. So you can see it's very different. Web 2 is kind of like one-way traffic, you interacting with the content, but Web 3 is a two-way traffic. So Web 2 aims to connect people, but actually Web 3 aims to connect knowledge. So you can see that alone, again, the focus of what Web 2 and Web 3 is very different. Of course, on a broader level, Web 3 definitely does focus more on user empowerment, and Web 2 is just largely on tagging and end user experiences. So they are very, very different in that sense as well. In terms of applications wise, you can see that Web 2, you can find most of them are web applications. For example, two-way web pages, video websites, podcasts, and personal blogs. On the contrary, Web 3 empowers the growth of smart applications. So notable examples of Web 3 applications might include things like multi-user virtual environments, 3D portals, and even integrated games as well. One of the other thing is the state of the data. In the case of Web 2, of course, the network takes the ownership of the data, whereas in Web 3, the ownership of data is usually owned by an entity alongside flexibility for sharing data throughout the network. So it is a very flat base for Web 2, but in Web 3 is more flexible. In terms of feature-wise, Web 2 allows better interaction alongside introducing a wide range of web applications. But Web 3 is more on behavioral marketing and smart web-based functionalities and applications. So all in all, this is actually more on this podcast is actually more on talking about the differences on Web 2 and Web 3. So Alan, do you have any thoughts on what Web 3's future might be?
Yeah, thank you, Marcus. I think like for clear observation that highlights for Web 2 and Web 3 in comparison, it really shows that Web 3 have a lot like a better advantage than Web 2. First, it presents a promising infrastructure required for the interaction between humans and machines. And most important, Web 3 comes with better security, trust, and privacy. I think many people will consider Web 3 as a decentralized web, which will be largely based on decentralized protocols. Web 2.0 is still the common foundation of many web applications we use today. But when the revolution into Web 3 happens, this might just be the history in the making.
Do you also believe that Web 2 might eventually be phased out?
I think eventually, depends how long, but I think like Web 3 and all these, it's just a process, right, of updating the technology and like humankind advancing to the next level.
Actually, I definitely agree as well. I think like Web 2 will kind of be like the TV kind of sense. If I can make a comparison, Web 2 will be like television, and Web 3 will be like Netflix and advanced kind of television experience. And I think in time to come, television might already be phased out, and Netflix itself might, might just be the next big thing. So Web3 in that sense will also evolve to take on that role in the future, I guess.
Yep, definitely.
Yep, I think that's all we have for this episode of our podcast. Thank you everyone for listening in.
Thank you.
The information contained in or provided from or through this podcast is not intended to be and does not constitute as financial advice, investment advice, trading advice, or any other form of advices. The information in this podcast is general in nature and is not specific to you, the users, or anyone else. You should not make any decision, be it financial, investment, trading, or otherwise, based on any of the information presented in this podcast without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or financial advisory. You understand that you are using any and all information shared in this podcast at your own risk. You are solely liable for any losses that you may incur from investing, and in no event shall we be liable for any losses which may be incurred while investing. Trading of cryptocurrencies is highly risky and may not be suitable for the general public. All opinions expressed by the program participants are solely their own current opinions and do not reflect the opinions of ABCC. Participants' opinions are based upon information they consider reliable. ABCC does not warrant the completeness or accuracy of such information and should not be relied upon as such.